Okay, so I wanted to do another video on chromatography. Um, I know I said I only needed one, but I wanted to show you how close, how similar these questions actually are, and maybe solidify some of that knowledge that I expressed. Okay, so last time we talked about this. This is a chromatogram, and this says start line, but it's actually a baseline. Um, if they ask you the name for that in exam, put baseline. Okay, so calculate the RF value of drug G. So G, what you'd actually do is you would use a ruler and you would measure using a ruler the distance from the baseline to that point there, and you will divide it by the distance from this baseline all the way to the solvent front. And you must, so this is a 4 mark question, so really they want you to state the equation first of all. So the RF value is equal to the distance moved by the solvent divided, the distance moved by the solute divided by the distance moved by the solvent, and then substitute in those values, and then afterwards carry out your calculation and put your answer there. There are no units required. So let's have a look. Okay, so yeah, there we are. Distance moved by substance. Sometimes you could put solute. Divided by distance moved by solvent. And that would get you a mark. And then what would happen is you've got your distance that you will have measured from your figure. Notice how it doesn't matter whether you did your calculation. They've got this plus minus 0.1 centimeters, plus minus 0.1 centimeters. When you're doing this calculation, they don't mind whether you're taking it from the bottom, from the top, or from the middle of each point when you're doing the measurements for this. They do take that into account where they allow you that point. But be consistent. If you're going to take it from the top of each one, just take it from the top of each one. Okay. Alright, and then so 5.1 divided by 6.8, and you remember I said that RF values are always in always say less than 1, value less than 1, and then you'd put in your answer 0.75. So those would give you your 4 marks. Okay, so this next question says describe what the diagram shows about drug D. Okay, so there's drug D. Look at that. So how many marks the question? 3 marks. So we want 3 points. First of all, we can see drug D is obviously a mixture. But let's find out what drug D contains. Can we match up with anything else here? Alright, so we can see that drug D contains drug B, because B is only that. Yeah, so it contains drug B, and it contains another substance which is not in any of the other drugs tested. So that's an unknown substance there. And it contains a substance in drug E. So one of the substances that make up drug E, or another drug that is in drug E. One of the substances in drug E you'd want to mention. So you'd put those in. Let's see what we got. So yeah, drug D contains one of the substances in drug E. Drug D contains drug B, and a compound not found in any of the other drugs, or an unknown substance. But if you didn't get any of those marks and you had put it's a mixture, you would have got 1 point. So just when you see it, you see the 3 marks. There are 3 things to describe. Which substance is most soluble in the solvent used in this diagram? Now, if something is soluble, then that means it's going to be easily carried up by the solvent, and so will be closest to the solvent front. Yeah, it's going to stick to the solvent, which is the mobile phase. The actual liquid is going to stick to that as much as possible, and so be carried up furthest up the table. So you would say A, because it travelled the furthest up the chromatography, the chromatogram or chromatography paper. So let's see, A, as it travelled the furthest in the solvent. I think you'd still get a mark if you said as it travelled the furthest up the chromatogram, but A, as it travelled the furthest in the solvent. That's what they're looking for. Alright. What's this one? Explain the result for drug F. Drug F didn't even move. You see, this is what I'm talking about when I say that you should use a a pencil for this line, or something that the solvent front doesn't dissolve into, because it would act just as this F is and it wouldn't move up. However, if you drew this line in one of those substances, one of those, an ink or something that would rise like that, all of this baseline would just rise and it would just ruin your substance completely. So this here is a substance that does not, that is not soluble in the solvent used. Sometimes it might be the equivalent of, using permanent ink on like a board, and you can get rubbed off using alcohol or something. Permanent ink, you put it on some substance you can try and wipe, and you try and wipe it and it doesn't go off, but you use something like alcohol and it comes off. Well, it's because say if you put water on this ink and it doesn't move, the ink isn't soluble in water. However, the ink would be soluble in alcohol, and for that reason it comes off. Okay, so let's see what that question says. Spot has stayed on the start line, on the baseline, because it's insoluble. Okay. So I just wanted to solidify that knowledge and show you that you will get similar questions, and you know, how to approach those RF value questions and things when you actually have to measure something out. But yeah, hope that helped. Keep me informed on whatever you want me to cover in the comments below. Let me know if this is helping you, and I'll keep the series up. Catch you later.